Okay, so the Eagles just saw one of their most exciting rookies return to practice after missing all of camp so far with an injury, and he's already made headlines as he just got a massive opportunity during practice, and it seems like there might actually be a small chance that he could possibly even earn himself a starting job. Meanwhile, linebacker Nakobe Dean earned some very high praise from head coach Nick Sirianni, while he's also been silencing the critics recently. Speaking of which, Sirianni also fired back at some recent criticism of Jalen Hurts as QB1 continues to have an impressive camp. Plus, several guys just returned to practice, while others made headlines, so let's talk about that and all the other latest Eagles news. And we won't waste any time, let's get straight into it. So I want to start off by giving a little more praise to one Eagles player in particular, as the third-year linebacker Nakobe Dean has really been subject to a lot of criticism during training camp, as his pass coverage ability has been called into question frequently, and just the fact that he's currently seemingly behind Zach Bond in the depth chart at inside linebacker has caused a lot of doubt about Dean's ability. But Nakobe hasn't let any of the outside noise affect him, and he's done his best to shut all the critics down, as Dean has apparently performed really well in camp after a slow start, with Elliott Short-Parks tweeting out, quote, "Nakobe Dean is having a really good camp. Started slow, but he's making a play almost daily now. Staying healthy and getting consistent reps has been huge for him." And then on top of that, Dean has arguably been the Eagles' best player in the preseason through 2 games, as he's been the highest graded player on the team through these games with a 91.6 PFF grade. And if you've watched these games, you know Nakobe has been all over the place, and he's made his presence felt. So that's definitely a great thing, because Dean was somebody who once had really high expectations placed on him. And it's not like there's no reason for that, as he's a super talented player with a lot of ability. So if he can put it all together, that would just be awesome for the Eagles, and it could take their defense to new heights to have a consistent playmaker at the linebacker position. Now obviously, the concerns about his pass coverage aren't gone, and he still has a battle in front of him to earn a starting job, but Dean seems to have done enough for reporter John McMullen to believe he's earned that job, as he tweeted out, quote, "I don't even get it a little bit why Nakobe Dean isn't a starter on this team. I'm sure he will be by week 1, but just turn the corner, Vic." So from somebody that watches practice every day and sees what Dean has done in those work sessions, I think that should definitely hold some weight. But what holds even more weight are the comments coming from the head coach, and Nick Sirianni raved about Dean and his performance in camp and the preseason in his pre-practice press conference on Saturday.
Yeah, I think he's had a nice camp. I'm excited about that group, and Nakobe played really well in the game. I know, Bo, you asked me about who played well. I thought Nakobe played a really, really good game. He was flying around to the ball. He had this play where he shot out and made a tackle on a screen. That was awesome, right? His fundamentals of tackling, he just got the guy down. I wouldn't say it was like the prettiest way. He just the tackle and get the guy down. And then he had a play where he blitzed, had the back on him. Would like to have a better win there on that play, but then we had a couple missed tackles on the play, and then he's 4 yards in the backfield and retraces. So it makes a really good tackle where sometimes what happens on missed tackles is it turns into an explosive. Well, that didn't because of the relentless effort of Nakobe. And so, his fundamentals, his tackling, his block destruction, and then his effort on his plays is really where you're being able to see his talent.
I honestly don't think I've heard Sirianni praise a player as much as he just did for Nakobe there. So that should tell you how highly the head coach thinks of Dean right now, and if he keeps impressing like this, it's kind of hard to imagine that he won't get his fair chance to start or at least play significant snaps this season. So it'll definitely be interesting to watch Nakobe Dean throughout the rest of the summer, as he might just have a chance to earn himself a starting job after all. But now, getting out to the actual practice field, the Eagles had some very positive injury updates going into their rainy Saturday session, as despite a few guys like Tyler Steen, Johnny Wilson, John Ross, and Joseph Ngata all missing practice, a few players also returned to the field, those guys being tight end Grant Calcaterra, who is clearly the second tight end on the roster at this point, linebacker Oren Burks, who has been out for pretty much all of training camp so far, so it's definitely a good thing for him that he's back, and also safety CJ Gardner-Johnson, as Chauncey was back out on the practice field for the first time in a few weeks after being out with a shoulder injury for a bit. So this is fantastic because we obviously all know how big of a piece CJ is for the defense and how important he is to their success this year, and these reps as we get deeper into camp are really valuable. So having him back out there is certainly really important, and I feel like, assuming he stays healthy, there's probably a pretty good chance that we could actually see him out there for the Birds' last preseason game against the Vikings. But for now, again, it was just nice to see him back out there in pads practicing and going through the tackling circuit, which kind of turned into a little bit of a slip and slide with all the rain. And in addition to CJ, it was also just nice to see the rookie Cooper DeJean back out there practicing in pads as well, and while he was still limited, he started to ramp up a little bit more since the Birds' last practice on Tuesday, and he was back doing team drills for the first time since the spring. Now, of course, during the time that DeJean was out, a lot has happened within the cornerback room in terms of certain guys establishing themselves as favorites to start at different positions, or guys just playing at different positions in general, and with Coop's positional versatility, it was still a little bit up in the air where he would see the majority of his snaps upon his return, and Nick Sirianni actually spoke about that before practice.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where he is as far as, you don't ever want to overload a guy right at the beginning. I'm looking forward to watching him practice today, ramping it up a little bit even more today. And then you got to take each guy as, its own case, right? And so you look at the situation that the team has, and then you also look at what the guy can do. And so time will tell, and look forward to seeing him go out there and roll today.
So Nick really didn't give us much anything there, to be honest, but he kind of did leave the door open for DeJean to play a different position than maybe we'd expect him to. But during practice today, DeJean was at his usual position at slot cornerback exclusively, and he was mainly working with the second team, and he actually even took some first team reps at that spot as well, even with this just being his first time practicing in T-drills since mandatory minicamp. So that should tell you just how highly they think of DeJean, and I think it's also pretty clear that the slot is where they envision him playing long term, and that's going to be his position moving forward. And also, honestly, with him getting those first team reps so quickly, I feel like you at least have to throw the question out there of whether Coop might actually have a chance to even start in the slot this season. I mean, I feel like he definitely has an uphill battle in front of him with all the time that he's missed, but the Eagles are high on DeJean, and I feel like you at least have to think that maybe it could be a possibility. That being said, though, Quinyon Mitchell has clearly established himself as the favorite to start there, and speaking of which, Mitchell had a very impressive practice today, as he even got some first team reps at outside cornerback and broke up a few passes to Devontae Smith throughout practice. So it seems he's well on his way to starting, but again, it is interesting how quickly DeJean got those first team reps, even though it was probably just Fangio trying to switch up looks and give guys reps all over. But what do you guys think? What are the chances that DeJean could possibly start in the slot this year? Now, regardless of if he starts or not, again, I definitely like him at that position and think that's where he'll be long term, and I also think playing him there brings much needed depth at the very least, with another slot cornerback in Tyler Hall now being placed on IR. Now, as far as the other positional battles go, though, we got some interesting updates on those as well. And don't worry, we're going to get into all that and so much more in just a minute, but real quick, I do want to say, if you are enjoying this video and don't want to miss any other Eagles training camp, preseason, or regular season coverage coming in the future, then make sure you subscribe, and also really importantly, turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. I think that's a win-win for the both of us, because not only do I get more people consistently watching these videos, but you don't miss any other Eagles content or coverage just like this. So again, subscribe, and really importantly, turn on notifications, and also drop a like down below to show some support. It really does help me out a ton. Let's see if we can hit 1,000 likes on today's video. Now, with all that being said, let's get back into the video. Now, getting back to the positional battle, Zach Bond was still starting at linebacker despite all the recent Nakobe Dean hype, although Nakobe is still making his case as he was good again today and got a nice hit on Will Shipley. So I don't see this spot being as locked up for Bond as I once thought it was. And then Isaiah Rodgers started again at cornerback while Quinyon Mitchell started in the slot, so no surprises there. But what was interesting to see was who started the day at the wide receiver 3 spot, as none other than Britain Covey started the day at that position before Paris Campbell rotated in later. And obviously, yes, there are a few receivers out of practice right now, and Campbell has missed some time, but even so, I mean, Covey has been earning first team reps throughout camp, and he's made plays and earned a ton of praise from his coaches in recent weeks. And he also didn't even play in the second half of the preseason game on Thursday, so I think it's clear that Covey has at this point probably earned himself a role at receiver with the offense this year, and I couldn't be happier for him because he's just worked so hard to earn this opportunity, and I am confident that he's going to make the most out of it. But what do you guys think? Assuming Covey will get his fair share of snaps at wide receiver 3 this year, what are your confidence levels in him? Now, getting over to the quote-unquote battle for the backup QB job, and I say that because Nick Sirianni said it's not a competition, but Tanner McKee continues to outshine Kenny Pickett at practice, as he reportedly got the ball out of his hands a lot quicker than Pickett, while Kenny had some terrible plays, including taking a sack after holding the ball too long and completely sailing a pass to a wide-open Will Shipley. So I don't know, man. I mean, if things keep trending this way, I just don't know how the Eagles cannot at least give McKee a chance to earn the backup job, because he just simply looks much better than Pickett at this point. That being said, though, hopefully we don't see either one of them touch the field, as we obviously don't want to see any injuries to Jalen Hurts. And staying with Jalen, even though it wasn't his best day at practice, Hurts had another solid day, making several nice plays, including a touchdown to A.J. Brown, and finishing the day 18 for 29 on his throws with that touchdown, and once again, he did not turn the ball over by throwing any interceptions, which you would think is 100% a positive thing, but according to certain people in the media, aka notorious Eagles and Jalen Hurts hater Nick Wright, it could actually be cause for concern because, as he put it, it means Jalen might not be taking enough chances with the football or pushing the ball downfield enough during practice, so 0 interceptions is too few. But Nick Sirianni doesn't see it that way, as he stood up for his QB and shut down that notion in his pre-practice press conference.
What I've seen is, like, that can go a couple different ways, right? That can go where he's not taking risks, but I don't see it that way. I see him pushing the ball down the field and taking the plays that are there, and when the play that he wants to push down the field is not there, he's checking it down. So he's playing really good football, and so that's a product of him. He's taking what the defense is giving him, and that's good quarterback play, right? Good quarterback play. The quarterback play I get so excited about is like, hey, we have this shot on, or we have this intermediate chunk on, and they didn't give it to you, and then we take a check down for 10 yards. Like, that's awesome. That's awesome football, and that gets me more excited than sometimes the big wow plays, because that's just the development of a quarterback and making plays. And so that's what he's done. I think he's just had a great camp in that, of taking care of the football. We put so much emphasis on that, but you put so much emphasis on that without trying to. The explosive play is important as well. And so Jalen just done a really nice job of delivering the football of where it needs to go and making great decisions with the football. And man, I couldn't be more happy with where he is right now, and I look forward to him having another good day today.
So one, it's great to hear Sirianni defend Hurts like that, especially with all the crappy media push drama surrounding their relationship recently, but it's also just nice to hear this insane narrative from Nick Wright be debunked, and we can 100% say for certain that Jalen Hurts is having an incredible training camp, he looks much improved, and he's ready to come out and have a great season. But now, getting to someone else who had a great practice, we look at the rookie Jalyx Hunt, who had a sack early on after beating tackle Fred Johnson, and later, he had a nice play in coverage as well, and this isn't the first time that Hunt has really stuck out in practice for the Eagles, as he's really been one of the surprise stars of training camp so far. So I'll be curious to see if he has a chance of maybe even getting some playing time this season with how he's looked so far in camp, and he'll just be one more guy to keep your eye on as we near the preseason finale and get closer and closer to the start of the regular season. And if you don't want to miss any of the Eagles coverage I got coming on this channel throughout the rest of preseason, training camp, and of course once the regular season arrives, then again, make sure you subscribe and really importantly turn on those notifications, and also make sure you guys drop a like to show some support on this video if you did enjoy it. It really does help me out a ton. Again, let's see if we can hit 1,000 likes on this video, and also leave a comment down below because that also helps me out a ton, and just give me your thoughts on anything that I talked about in this video. And if you want to watch another video going over the Eagles preseason win over the Patriots and all the storylines from that, you can check this out right here. Now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys, so thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.